Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I just got off work recently and I was going down YouTube's rabbit hole and I seen a whole bunch of Zionists, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I seen a whole bunch of Jewish people who have clearly circumcised their hearts, talking about the oppression that's going on and how they rebuke Netanyahu and they would never follow along with this shit and they don't know what God he follows. Y'all see me going after people out of my camera, but I don't want y'all to think that I'm just some guy that didn't make it in life, some guy that wants money and be a part of the capital. I can assure you I know nothing about stocks, bonds, nor do I know anything about a lot of that shit. And honestly, once I did as much research as I could and took business classes and learned about all the licensings you need and all the approvals from the city, the state, the government, the local government, the feds, FCCs and CDCs and all kind of I just kind of fell off of it. Money doesn't interest me whatsoever. It puts me off. But besides that, the 144, I want to talk a little bit about that today. You know, I talk about the Bible a lot and I try to explain things, but the problem with books and the problem with not even books, the problem with a bad teaching is that sometimes people like to create labels. Sometimes people like to, when I say divide things, I don't mean like maliciously, even like the periodic table, right? Particles and atomic molecules and atoms. As much as we have identified certain things and we know science to be true, because of course, what is this? A whole bunch of science. And I can get into that, but I'm not. Essentially, what I'm saying is we separate things and put things in categories sometimes, like we do with science and mathematics and numbers. Well, what people have done is they've taken certain teachings and meanings from books, and instead of them ingesting it for themselves, so then they can then view the world and take things and understand them for themselves. A lot of times, what people have done is they read the things and then they create these massive teachings, whether it's legitimate or whether it's capitalistic and or for greed in some sort. The problem with dividing certain things is that I'll give you an example of the word Jew versus Gentile and what they've done with those words. It's no different than saying sinner and a Puritan. It's no different than saying criminal and a law abiding citizen. It's no different than saying they're just words describing things. But as much as we like to separate things and put things in their own categories, as I said before on this camera, this is the universe and everything is whole. We can separate things for knowledge and for clarity and for scientific and enlightening reasons. But ultimately, the problem with separation is that we forget to put these things back after we've separated them. And then once we separate, that's the great separation from God. And I'm going to explain, please, so give me a moment. A lot of times when you guys hear me saying God, I want you to understand that that initial word, that deity, came from Germanic paganism. What they did with that word is they built it to the sun and back. They put it in the heavens. Then after they put it in the heavens, they created a tower for it that they can go up and down every day and talk to this God, this idol that they put in the heavens. If God is something you heavily believe in and you don't like what I'm saying right now, please, I implore you, I don't want you to force yourself to do something you don't want to do. And I am just as much as I am a God, to me, I am flesh rot meat. I understand my nature and I understand the space-time continuum to the best of my ability. I said to my ability for a reason, because I am who I am and I am me. Whenever you hear me saying God, I am talking about I am spirit. I am spirit and truth. When a light turns red, it's time to stop. That was godliness. A lot of people may not understand why, and they hear me saying godliness, they're like, then why are you still using the word? I use what words I need to at my will. When you hear that, you do not need to think to yourselves, oh, he's corrupt, he's going to do whatever he wants. No, there's a foundation that's in front of me still. I didn't leave paganism and go, oh, none of it's real. Fuck this, that, the third, and Dr. Phil. I do whatever I want. I'll smoke 100,000 blunts. No, it doesn't work that way. And I've got a lot more to say. What I like people to understand is when I say certain things like I do what I will, my will is pure to the best of my ability. So you don't need to hear me say that and think, oh, he's going to do something corrupt. That's fear. I have not given you a reason to let you think that I am corrupt or would actually cause harm to people. I'm talking on a camera like y'all said Charlie Kirk did, and even still, I don't need to go down that path. If people would like to call what I'm saying hate speech, but call Charlie Kirk Martin Luther King Jr., then there is nothing that I can do for them, and any word that I use is wasted energy. So, when I say God, I'm talking about who I am. But what is that? What does that mean? The flesh you see in front of you is controlled by something, is willed by something. Within the flesh is a higher level of consciousness, spirituality, psychology, a psyche. Ultimately, I am who I am. I am the one that wills whatever will be done. I am the one with the power to speak and or do what I will. I am the one who has been speaking things into existence and went from broke because of the economy to 60 plus a year. Car and house and nothing else to fear. Because I've learned that even when others are harmed and there's nothing I can do, I have to remember I'm still the Jew. There's a foundation that I will not break lest I be cooked like the rest of the steak. I use a lot of symbolism, but not mysticism in the sense that, oh, he's mysterious and this is why I am as clear as it gets. My spirit is like glass, although my spirit is bulletproof glass. If you hear that and seek to harm who I am, then you are a psychopath. If you hear that and think karma, he says he's bulletproof glass, then you would cause harm to somebody to prove a point. Because I didn't say that to cause harm and say I'm bulletproof glass, none of you can hurt me and I'm going to go kill a bunch of you. I said I am bulletproof glass in the sense that your foolish teachings and religions cannot pierce the chemical makeup of the hardened sand. You see, by the beach is sand. And I've told y'all over and over, who is it that creates and gives you ideas and philosophies? Because did you know that sand, if I'm correct, can also be turned into bulletproof glass? So just as frail as it is, and it'll cause your foundation to sink, it could also, that same sinking sand can be turned into something that stops projectiles from murdering you. Interesting, right? Science, intellect, wisdom. I've said on this camera before, because people are sweet and kind and loving, and because people would like to use science and medical science to help and make people's lives better, now there are men that can make people see again by reattaching new organs that can be cloned or harvested and or donated. People can hear again that can never hear because they can connect nerve endings, do all kinds of things with the ears, open them up, drain them, all kinds of things. Give you tubes, hearing aids. Does that come from a dictator sitting on his throne going, fuck all of you people? It comes from sweet Jews. It comes from kind African Americans. It comes from loving homosexual people. It comes from intelligent Asians who don't believe the narrative all the time. So do you know who it comes from? Humans. Do you know who cause harm? Humans. not the right, not the left, not up, down, not the Holy Bible, not that kid down the street. Wait, yes, that kid down the street. Something bad didn't happen and he didn't turn into a demon. He made a fucking choice in life and allowed his demons to take control. All crimes against humanity are hate crimes. But some hate is very malicious and very strong. Do you know what the Underground Railroad is? Have you ever done research on that? Harriet Tubman. You hear a lot about Anne Frank and all those kind, loving Caucasian people that hid Jewish people to save them lives. But why don't they teach you about the ones in America who did the same thing? They teach you that Harriet Tubman was willing to shoot a nigga. But why don't they teach you about all them white people that opened their doors and kept their lights on? Because I'm thinking people are on a fucking 1800s train somewhere riding through the swamps and shit. Y'all are full of shit. Full of shit. There's so many motherfucking white people that are pure. There's so many just good people that live their day. Even if they don't jump in the streets and want to do all this battling, live their life every day. Y'all are selfish. Y'all don't want to do nothing. Y'all don't want to help. Dave Chappelle just said something one time that blew my mind. He said, I hate poor people because y'all can't see past y'all own pain and oppression. Because I guess these wildfires happened in California somewhere. And there's people posting about, yeah, it's a good thing that happened. God punished them. They're evil. Oh, that's what they get. You don't even fucking know them people or who it happened to. Them people could have been poor at first and came up and now y'all are wishing death on them. But then all of you inspired to be poor will probably hurt somebody to get rich. Imaginary tree paper. After you get rich and do that rich shit for years and years and years and years, 20 years that went by, you still rich. That shit is nothing anymore. It's boring. It's trash. Being poor is trash. The point is humans. There are very good people out there. There are Muslims that would flinch if you asked them about Sharia. There are Christians that would flinch if you talked fucking stupid. There are fucking Jews that would wince if you told them to break the law. I'm not talking about the law in their books, but I am too. I'm talking about good people that want proper civilization, that wouldn't cause harm to nobody. Many people out there like that. But all you fakers, I love you guys, huh? Then you go in the dark with your little buddies and you talk fucking stupid and are racist as shit. All these people that are elitists and stomp on the poor, all the poor that wish death on the rich, all the same tornado. All the same shit. When I talk about God, I am who I am. I am the one who sends me. I put no other I ams before me. I don't bow to none and worship none. I honor my father and mother, my creators. And then after the cells come together, I am the creator. Go find a scientist and tell him to argue with me as I watch him explain my point. In the beginning, you and I created the heart, the heavens, and the flesh, the earth. We hover above that book. We are the gods. There have been things I said and I couldn't believe they came true. I speak the truth. As a god walking through the land, flaming power. Still like, what's going on? How's this happening? Tossing flame everywhere. Oh, what the hell? Touching trees catching on fire. And by the time they're done, they're bigger, fucking stronger trees. Like, how the hell did the tree just grow? I set it on fire. Do not play with fucking fire. This is a metaphor describing what happened to my soul once I awakened that was no longer bound. The ropes burned off. Like Hercules when they tried to drown him in the rivers. But when they cut the string, it turned golden. I have a lot of theories. I'll share them with you. We're all the same. I have nutty thoughts that you all would think, what the fuck? And you have nutty thoughts that I would think, what the fuck? But if we express them more in spaces where we were allowed to communicate, we wouldn't call each other crazy. Do you guys know why new stuff isn't being invented? I was just watching Andre 3000, one of my favorite rappers. It's happening fast. And he was just talking, I'm used to another conventional way. And when I was coming up, we didn't do things this way. And these new rappers and blah, blah, blah. When you was coming up, hella white people hated you. There was racists everywhere. And nobody respected rap or the thugs or the hood. Remember? What are you fucking talking about? Yeah, and I still love Andre 3000. I'm just a fiery person. But I finally have space to communicate where I won't be judged. And if I am judged, remember that bulletproof sand I was talking about? That y'all said I would sink in the shore? Right. So certain things are used to terrify us. Perfect love casts out fear. For and fear is torment. So when I finally was able to walk to the beach, don't go to the beach, you're gonna get devoured. And that beast was standing in front of me. I used the fire in my hand, like the Avatar, and confronted it. Fuck the Spirit of God. Because you will not use the 10 Commandments, right? You all are perpetuating what the Pharisees was doing. What will Christians and people of different religions do to you if you claim to be God or rebuke their God? They turn it to the Pharisees and scribes. They'll pick up stones, whether they be from a book or real stones in some places. And so, what I'm saying is, I don't tempt people for no reason and just say certain things and try to make a spirit come out of a person. Because y'all will hear that and y'all steadily probably think magic. But I can give you a simple explanation on spirits. Spirits are nothing. I like what Richard Dawkins said about Christianity. Richard Dawkins is a really smart guy, and he's not an asshole from what I could tell. They made it seem like he was an asshole. He was actually one of the most submissive, humble, quiet. Anyways, he might come at people. But after people talk to me like that, because what people will do is in a debate is they'll condemn you to hell and damn you like 15 times. And then when you're rude to them, they're like, oh, he's an atheist asshole. And atheists do it too. Y'all can be mean as fuck for no reason. So anyways, the point is, Richard Dawkins says, I am a cultural Christian. I like Christmas. Didn't I say that? I love giving people gifts, snuggling by the fireplace, cocoa, pretty Christmas lights. It's the rainbow and lights. Right? Love the rainbow. Christmas lights are evil. Y'all motherfuckers are warsome. So then, once he said that, he's like, I like, Easter. You get to, as kids, we got prizes and gifts and went into the gifts of the store. All y'all holidays contradict what the man was saying. But even still, as I've told y'all, he was just giving spiritual advice because gifts can destroy the heart. People fuck around and get somebody a gift and they think you owe them or something afterwards. So why? It's not a gift. It was a loan, right? Anyways, the point is, and I've been guilty of this. I told you I'm not holier than thou. It takes time to become wise. Shit, I still got my problems. But anyways, the point is, I see some of these videos of these white people killing black people still, and I see some of these videos of black people talking about we hate all whites, and my inner rage come out. I see black people still commit murder. I see these white supremacists shooting up innocent churches, and man, yeah. Said it before, y'all a pressure of God to pressure cook y'all ass. But anyways, the point is, don't play with fire or hot grease. We've had times for that, right? Did it get the Catholic Church anywhere? Now they're touching little boys. I don't think God was too pleased. I don't think I am too pleased with their behavior. So anyways, the point is, cultural Christians. Nothing wrong with that, man. You guys like the holidays. You're not evil. I'd argue that cultural Christians are following the Bible more than religious Christians, because I try to read that book and justify y'all, and everything y'all do go against y'all God's words. Y'all are fucking crazy. And then I think y'all really do believe in hell, some of y'all, so I don't know what y'all are doing. And when I say hell, I'm talking about y'all fantasy, imaginary, paradox, afterlife, play, death, murder, eternity land that y'all created. So the point is, It's about kindness and the ultimate law. And the reason that ultimate law is important and why John Core Books keeps telling y'all that if you don't transgress that law, you won't transgress any law, is because if you have love in your heart, okay, if you finna go rob somebody and steal from them, you got a form of hate in your heart. I don't care because you're like, I deserve it. And that's not always true. If you're trying to steal to survive, because like this capitalistic system, that's why I don't like talking about certain things. Stealing ain't always theft. If I'm about to starve to death, I'm gonna take some fucking bread. You can fuck off. So, I don't know how you steal shit that comes from the earth. I had to tell this person, they was like, they were slaves and then they bought those people. Ooh, and I asked them, I said, how do you buy what you don't own? None of fucking y'all made somebody else, unless you're their parents. Reminds me of his episode when Paris Hilton was trying to buy Butters on South Park. Were they justified? Please do not play with my fucking humor. Because some of y'all are fucking literalists. And you won't be using my name to bloodstain half the earth like y'all did with these other people. You'll look fucking nutty when people find my videos perpetuating my name. But anyways, the point is, yeah, man, I don't care what you are. The skin color doesn't dictate the hatred unless, actually, and I'm going to be a realist. All those things do dictate hatred. Racism can change people. Elitism can change people. Slavery changes people. Anger and oppression changes people. But you have a fucking choice. And every choice you make that you know is corrupt and causes harm for no fucking reason, then that's on you. And you're going to get what you're looking for. The reason why I say not all hatred is evil is because I don't, out of love, y'all can use whatever philosophy you want. I don't, out of love, jump in front of a pole to keep a psychopath from beating up a kid and then fight them with all my power. Right? I don't say, oh, I love you. Stop hurting kids. I get mean. So, does that mean I'm evil? No. You all need to learn how to control thyself, know thyself, and then the planet will heal. Y'all name everything but humans. But then when y'all do name humans, y'all name everything else. You're drinking, you're evil. You're smoking cigarettes, you're evil. You're blah, 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 you're evil. Evil, evil, evil. And yet none of those things are inherently evil. Those things are tools we use. So, I am who I am. I am sent me. I am the one who frees from the bondage of stupidity and or binds whom I need to at the times that I will. Ye shall have no gods. That is plural for oneself. I don't go buying shit unless I need to because they're about to hurt somebody. What I am saying is none of you are controlled by anybody else. All your decisions are yours. You are the one who frees yourself or binds yourself if you feel the need to, I guess. Ye shall have no gods before who I am, who you are. Don't bow down to them or worship them. Love who I am, which is don't take my name in vain, with all my heart and soul, and love others the same, not just your fucking neighbors. That's why everybody creates goddamn groups. I can hate some shit you're doing and still have love for the human being you are. And some other simple shit. Don't kill or rape. Thou shalt not kill or rape. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet for thy neighbor's house or anybody else's shit, because that causes stealing and theft and slavery. Thou shalt honor thy father and mother. You're real creators, and then you create the rest. Meiosis and mitosis, right? Thou shalt not commit adultery. So if you want to have fun, don't be signing marriage contracts and contracts with your soul attached to it. You're not evil for sex. The next person I hear say sex is evil outside of causing harm and sexual torment and sadism and molesting and sexual slavery and trafficking. I'm giving you I'm gonna give you some truth and logic. Your instincts are not inherently evil, but now that we are civilized, we control certain things so we don't cause harm. So what was I, about 5 or 6? I was on the other hand. Keep the day of rest holy. And yeah, man, thou shalt not kill or rape. I shall not kill or rape. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor house. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Uh, keep the day of rest holy. Honor thy father and mother. I think don't commit adultery. I might have said that twice. But yeah, man. Just follow. The reason I put those laws there like a stone, man, is because I'm telling you, you don't want to break those, especially in this current state of humanity. They're a lot more intelligent than they were before. Emphasis on than they were before. And yeah, man. Plenty of good people out there. Y'all just calling people Jews and gays and they're humans and they enjoy certain things. And if you all weren't fucking so cane and remedial, you would be more like able and enjoy more things in life. With the technology that humanity has, life could be so much fucking fun. Life could be so amazing. But for some reason, in this season, y'all have 8 times left and a half a times to figure it out. So y'all understand. 8 times and 8 times time. That's 3 days. God, it's the same message throughout the whole book. Because I honestly think Yehohanan probably wrote this book. Because a lot of what you guys are saying, they wouldn't have had a Torah in fucking Egypt, in Kemet, in Africa. They wouldn't have had a fucking Torah in the Middle East. I researched all that shit. They were worshiping fire temples and all stuff. The Middle East, okay, now there's like Islam. The Middle East and Saudi Arabia and all these places was not all the same. You had Canaan, which was doing their thing, and then Babylon, but then in newer history, Iraq and Syria, none of these places were the same. You had the Persian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the people who call themselves Jews or Canaanites who learned from Africa. Amos and Akhenaten raided Canaan and so the idea you guys are like all Muslims, no. They were different. They were different nations. They believed in different stuff. There wasn't even monotheism around until I think Catholicism, dude. All this in the Old Testament, there was other gods. Even God talked to the other gods. Satan was one of the other gods until he was brought low. The ark is the first 3 commandments. It's us. Then, like, idle nothing under the earth, in the heavens, the sea. Don't have no idols up here. Don't idle nothing of these peoples, and don't idle the words in that book. Y'all are the arks. Y'all supposed to be floating over the flood. The flood is here and happening. It's the lake of fire. I honestly don't think it's been the 40 days for it to rescind yet. I think you guys are, and even if it has, it's been like 6 days. But a lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say that. In 4000 BC, you had something called the Kemet. We don't have a lot of written history before that because the Greeks and the Romans like to fuck shit up. If you think this is hate speech, then you should do some history. The Persians and Babylonians too, and a lot of other different nations. Everybody did it. So then, it's like tiring saying the same thing over and over. You had a tomb where they get Adam. It was one of the first recorded gods in history where they got eaten by the belly of the beast. A man named Mean Narmer was eaten by a hippo. I don't know how that happened. Maybe he got so big-headed he tried to fight one. I don't fucking know. This is all recorded history, by the way, like stuff that's recorded. Then you have the 12 judges and Muat, and that's where they get these 12 tribes and 12 to 12 and all of it. So I'm seeing a lot of sick stuff happen to America right now. There was like 4 shootings like yesterday, mass shootings, and then there was like another 2 or 3 already today. Some cops were shot and killed. Like, whoa. Like, I am spirit and truth. Some of my crazy shit. I told you I was going to say some of my crazy shit. I haven't actually said that yet. Y'all probably like, damn, this is the crazy shit? No, so I'm going to say something, man. And my first crazy shit is Charlie Kirk was wearing a bulletproof vest, a military grade armor vest. Now, I don't know how many of you speak at colleges or went to college. I have never in my life witnessed somebody wearing a bulletproof vest to talk to college students, especially somebody that just loves guns so much. So, something else, the kid that was involved with the shooting comes from a MAGA family, far right. The dad was a sheriff. The mom had pictures of guns and stuff. She was deleting them off of Facebook. It's always funny watching this shit. I mean, I admit if I was, I'd probably start deleting shit too. But man, the kid was doing far right memes, and I keep that. Oh whoa! If you watch Rick and Morty, Morty does his face. He no, he, I can't do it right now because he does his face like, or it's supposed to be you know, when the it's kind of hard to do when you're trying to do it, but when you actually make the face, because you're like, it's funny as shit. So it's an emoji, dude. The kid was far right, a gamer, super white state. So what I'm getting at is that this is my conspiracy. The dude leaned forward because the first video I watched was a man with a sniper rifle, a 30-06 shooting at a plate, and he was shooting the corner of the plate, showing how the bullet will ricochet up if it hits the plate wrong. So I was like, why is he showing that? But Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck. He got shot in the neck. The reason his neck didn't explode, and they've confirmed it now, is because the kid hit him square in the chest. But Charlie Kirk leaned forward and then leaned backwards right before the kid shot. So you remember Trump, right? He got shot in the ear and it was just so perfect. Nobody was scared after he got shot in the ear. The guy was killed that did it so they could get no fucking information. The one white shooter that they killed. That, if you do research on mass shootings, they usually shoot themselves because cops don't shoot. Anyways, let me just chill. So then Trump's shooter who got shot in the ear and now it's healed, right? So then Charlie Kirk, right? I think he was trying to do the same thing. And the kid fucked his life up agreeing to do this shit. I think there's some deep shit. Who wears a bulletproof military grade vest to a fucking school? They saw the kid on the roof. There was video of the kid on the roof before it jumped off. They seen the kid up there. There was all type of people were moving cameras from behind them. Like, bruh, I think the dude leaned forward. They say, God, I am that which doesn't like ugly. That nigga leaned forward at the wrong time trying to, and the kid was going to get away. Because if Charlie Kirk would have lived after getting shot like that with the vest on, they would have been so busy trying to get him to a medical establishment and take care of him. But when he got murked and he got hit the way he did, that's when it turned serious. So that's just my opinion. I think they set up him getting shot in the chest so they could blame it on the Muslims, the blacks, or the Jews. And that would have kick-started this shit. Charlie would have been a martyr. He would have still been alive, and he would have started talking hate. And it would have been the ideal situation. But he got murked. Now, that's just a conspiracy. But I'm telling you, sometimes shit is being done in the dark that we don't understand. And the sooner we wake up, the sooner we can make sense of things. My second crazy shit. This actually happened to me before I deleted a bunch of my videos. And this honestly was the beginning of me going to the hospital and wanting to talk to a therapist. And Carl, a friend of mine named Carl, has helped me out a lot because there are certain things I can't talk to with other people about. But because of us being the same race, a lot of what I say he can resonate with and understands because he's dealt with it. And it's like a common ground thing. And I know that seems like people can be excluded because of things like that, but that's not so. I just have to open up and be able to include people without becoming enraged and knowing my true enemy. The darkness within me and the darkness within other people. So, this is probably like a couple years ago. I was making videos. And after I made the videos, it was one of them videos where recently I was talking about I said on one of my, you see I'm getting nervous. I said I am who I am. And I titled the video, it wasn't the Great Reset. It was titled System Reset Update or System Update Required. That was the first one. I said System Update Required. When I made that video and posted it, some weird stuff started happening afterwards. When I say weird, like that's when the Palestine derailment thing happened, I think, with the train. But the reason why it had freaked me out, and I don't want to cry on this camera, because shit felt so real. Like, the train had derailed, and then, like, I was watching the interviews, and the people were saying, like, we don't know who we truly are and what's happening, and where am I and what am I, and I didn't know they didn't care about us like this, and we thought because some of them were saying they thought because they were white people were going to help them, but they were sounding like NPCs that just like appeared in the system. It was fucking with my head, right? Because I'm not the type to be like, oh, I just said system reset, so I'm going to expect. In my mind, when I say stuff like that, it's metaphorical. I'm saying we need to update religion. But then weird physical shit started happening. And I avoid that shit. I try to explain with physical science. If you guys watched a lot of my videos, you think I was a scientist or an atheist, maybe. I'm not. You probably think I was a scientist, but the point is, weird stuff started happening. So, okay, the weird stuff with the video started happening. Then all of a sudden, all these people started talking about Israel. All these people started talking. I mean, like, how can I explain it? I was getting called ham. Rabbis were making fun of me. I was watching videos of Jews spit on people. I mean, it was the height of, I was watching Caucasians still donate their money, and because it's nationalist Christians. All of a sudden, a wave of people like because I'll admit, it was a wave of guilt, Jewish and black and gay and sex and all that, you know, the Me Too movement. You couldn't do nothing for a while. All of a sudden, people started coming at the Jewish community. I was like, what the fuck? Well, at the same time, a whole bunch of anti-black videos started coming out because they was already Hodge twins and all that, but it was everywhere acceptable, right? So one night I'm going to lay down in my room. This is all leading up to something. One day I'm going to go lay down in my room, and I'm thinking like, all the prophets started coming to my head. Not like talking to me type shit. I'm saying, I think if you read in the Old Testament, a couple of the prophets said they did evil. I think Isaiah did. If not in this Bible, there's a story to where like Isaiah was like, oh shit, I said evil, and he got murked because of it, I think, or some shit. I don't know the full story. But a lot of the prophets either regretted or afterwards was like, oh my God, what did I do? Because they started having visions of what their words was finna do. Real visions. They didn't realize the power it possessed at the time. So I started thinking about John the Baptist and how he was even still martyred. And I started thinking about all these movements throughout history. But because of their words, it all switched around and people was getting killed. Now they blame Jews for killing Jews and Pharisees and scribes. But if you do history, Nero and his Herod that was in Judea at the time, I think it was 66 AD. They went to go take some gold out of the vault, and because Judea and Rome had a military pact. So did Greece. They assimilated with the Greeks. And so they had a military pact. And I think 100 BC or something like that. It was close to that time. Then some time went by and new Caesars were coming out. They had a time from, I call it the Julian Claudian dynasty. It was like 6 or 7 Caesars until it got to Vespasian and Titus. So Nero at the time was brutally violent. He hated the Canaanites, the Levant, whatever they're called. So what ends up happening is he goes down there, tries to take some gold. They're like, no, they fight back. And he kills, in written history, 3,600 people. That's interesting because they said Spartacus and his army had 3,600 people. It's like a whole bunch of lords. I've said this in videos. Well, the point I'm bringing up is that even though they killed this man, there's even something called Prester John. And if you research, the reason why I say if you research with an open heart and actually look into cultures and transliterate words and see what they mean in different cultures, you'll see how one story can spread throughout every culture, and then they rename it different shit, and you'll see in China got dragons and Confucius and all that. Y'all would be surprised where these actual words come from. Just like Buddha and Buddhist and different words, they're all mixing these different people's words until they just be like, this person said all this shit, or Jesus said all this shit, or and so what they did with the beginning of Yehohan's name is it was Yesu. It was supposed to be Shua. So in this generation, in this language, that would translate to Joshua. It'd be John plus Shua. Yehohanan plus Shua. Well, the reason I bring all that up is, and still to the craziness, I was like, one day in my mind, I started to snap. Nope, I'm done. I'm deleting these videos. The spirit of the Most High, it's all been truth. and I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to be the reason people are getting killed. They're going to twitch stories up. They're going to lie. And something else that was replaying in my head. Carl kept telling me, they're not ready for you in this generation, what you're saying. First of all, not only are they cling tight to that book, one, you're African American, so you know how that's going to go. Even if you're doing something great, they're going to bury you and hide you in terms of spiritual teachings or truth. They're going to try to label you crazy and show anything crazy you said, and then invent, build, and take anything smart you said and become amazing. I believe that's what's happening to a lot of people in the system, black, white, whatever. Even if you look at investors, what happens in the system, you're not going to be able to, you can invent the greatest shit to ever exist. You're not going to have funding. You're not going to have, protect. When I say protection, like, not from violent people, that too, but you're not going to have like the laws in place to protect, like PPE and protective gear, and like when you make foods, you got to have like safety and all this. You're not going to have the funding for none of that, none of it. So investors are going to do, they're going to notice you. That's why Amazon exists. It's basically a store where they get you to sell all your shit. And it's like a whole system. So investors come buy your shit, buy you out. You sign things to where you can't never even talk about it. It's sometimes called an NDA or a non-disclosure, depending on what's going on. And it's like you never even existed. Now you're just rich. That money's probably going to go away one day, or your family's going to become poor once they don't believe in the things you believe in. I've seen it happen all the time. They fight over inheritances. And so the reason I brought it up is because I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm taking all this shit down. I don't want nothing to do with that shit. I don't really care about the glorification, but I'd hate to see me. I hate to see a movie about me in the future, right? Just irony or food for thought, me thinking about the future. And then it'd be some white dude with blonde hair saying everything I said, like the Ten Commandments. And I find out Moses was African, Kemet. Right? And Yehohanan was Afro-Asiatic. It's crazy, right? All the people they stole from Africa and took to Babylon. And they said it in the Levant. So then, where I look like Moses on the Ten Commandments and shit. Or the Pharaoh, right? That was accurate because they were Asiatic, Hyksos. So anyways, the point is, I said, no, I'm not doing this shit. Deleted all my videos. There's like 100-some videos. The first, John Core Books, he messaged me on one of the last gaming video I did. And he said, brother, I hope you saved all those videos, the information and logic. You didn't woke me up and you didn't woo woo woo. He made me feel like Neo, like when Neo went back to sleep and the rest of them had to wake him up. Well, that was kind of the beginning. John and Carl and Dan, a couple other people were right there with me, right? Just keeping it going. Well, this is what started. I went to go get in bed one day. And as I was laying there, this is when I was unemployed, so I barely had cigarettes all the time. I didn't really have too much smoke. I didn't have money to really do anything. I was eating like canned goods and pantry food and donating blood to get food, McDonald's here and there. I went to go lay in my bed one time. And all of a sudden, I don't know if anybody experiences this. I call it the imagination. And a lot of people confuse that with the spirit, or, we call it the spirit. All of a sudden I heard, no, help me. And it was like, I don't know if it was brown, gray, like ghouls or just waves of souls going in circles around my face in the dark, right? And I'm laying in bed and they're like, no, help me, why? So I came back and made a video and was like, I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt nobody. And I know teachings could turn into fire. And I just wanted to talk to people and teach people. And I know a lot of people have probably seen that video. Was like, what the fuck is he talking about? I was thinking deep future. And you guys probably think like, oh, he's delusional. This is all logical from a logical standpoint. If you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat the future. And based on what I learned, the only thing that was happening in my mind is humanity was going to take everything I said and enslave people and murder people. I was like, I can't be a part of this shit. So then I couldn't understand like, what is happening? So then all of a sudden a thought came to my mind. Listen, brother. This is where all the rhetoric, I was like, what was the horseman to the car? What was the lighter to the tinderbox? What is AI to people who have, to cartoonists who you have to draw picture after picture and flip the book? So it started happening, the deep scientific part of me, right? Along with the empathetic part of me. Brother, imagine. What if every video you make or everything you do influences the future? You just made 100 some videos coming out with the ultimate truth, the I am, and the Morning Star, which let's say if you're a realistic person, we'll say those 100 videos made it to 1,000 years in the future, 2,000 years in the future, 10,000 years in the future, right? Because of technology and preserving things. And there were maybe statues everywhere of me, teachings, cathedrals. Mankind had figured out the speed of light, maybe because they came together. And it reminds me of the episode of South Park when Cartman froze himself and went to the future. You cannot go into the future with our current knowledge by freezing yourself, and all your cells will die. And you will not be resurrected with our current technology. Do not freeze yourself. I'm sorry, I have to have certain disclaimers. I said in this time frame. Move me out of the way in the future if need be. Okay, so all of a sudden, I started thinking like, what if you just deleted all these fucking videos and you just deleted a portion of the future? Something you will never feel or see or hear because this is your time frame, but in a constant of time of things, a thought, something so quick that's random, and since we have free will, cannot be predicted, that a stone that was predicted to be here for a long time just disappeared, right? Now imagine that. So in my mind, I started to think like, holy fuck, this is plausible. This is viable. I just took away a whole bunch of knowledge and truth and clarity from a whole bunch of people that would have been in the dark and burning in the future in terms of spiritual logic. And even if it don't go mainstream, all the innocent people that probably saw me and gained confidence and fire and was able to live their life happily. And that's when I started to panic. I was like, okay. If I make the fucking videos, there's a possibility that they're going to damn themselves. If I don't make the fucking videos, there's a possibility people will be lost in darkness forever, right? Because there's a chance that nobody ever figures anything out. And because once we're gone, what do I know what happens, right? And there could be a perpetual system of wars and damage and destruction because they just continually believe in this image that you can only see when you die, according to their minds. So I started making videos again. When I started making videos again, all of a sudden, this is what fucked my head up. I have been on this planet for a long time. I know how people talk on the internet. I know what people have been doing on the internet, and I know about all the delusional, schizo, if you talk crazy, do. So people might talk crazy on the internet, but they haven't crossed that threshold yet. All of a sudden, everywhere I went, I started hearing people say, this timeline is fucked up. The chosen one has finally awakened. I have a video where a dude posted a whole long rant and helped me realize that this is day 6. They're lying about the time frame. When I found a tomb in history in 4000 BC, I was like, holy shit. Because you guys will steadily hear me saying this, and a lot of people hear me say this, and you guys are still thinking literally. And I implore you to watch my videos. I have hit a lottery that's a smaller, minuscule number than the smallest lottery that has ever been played. And when I hit that lottery and started to try to still live afterwards like everything was normal, my mind started to fucking collapse. I started to waver off the stone. That's where the biggest problems happen on the inside. Where I tried to go to talk to somebody and they'll try to involunteer you. You try to go get help and just talk about certain things, how certain oppressions bother you. They'll take your FOIA card, give you depression because you said you think it's so sad that capitalism is the way it is. This is real. I have the email still. And then the state police message you right after through email telling you if you have your FOIA card, which is why it's in my closet now, and you get pulled over or stopped, it's a felony. But I'm okay, guys. So, and it still lingers with me that what do we do that influences the future? Now, this is why I brought up the tinderbox and all that, and the rocket ship to the airplane to the carriage, to the boat, the submarine to the raft. I said, what if they did in the future create time travel? Who is anybody around us? Who are the random people that we interact with every day? Are some people a part of a are some people a part of a program? Think about what I'm telling you. Everything you see is in 2D. You could draw a picture and see the exact same thing, and the only reason it's 3D is because the mechanics in the quantum mind, the spiritual mind. I was just talking to somebody, they've come up with something called quantum immortality, which I've spoke on before because let's say the brain takes 5 minutes to die, 10 minutes to die without oxygen, and now you're in the process of dying but unconscious to the world. Your brain cells die at different times. Your brain dies at a different time. So let's say you have 5 minutes of signal sending at the speed of light. It takes light 8 minutes to get to the earth from 93,000 miles away. Yes, it's a different chemical equation and a lot different type of radiation, but that's not the point. Is like damn near at the speed of light, right? Traveling across synaptic gaps. What if a person could create 10,000 lifetimes, even within their own mind, as they're dying? What if this is one of my lifetimes and I've already perished? And I'm simply talking to a representation of myself with everybody I speak to. That's egocentric, and I wouldn't advise thinking that way because it can lead to an egotistical person, and which is actually why a lot of people think that this is like, think that way, this is a system and nobody else is real. I'm not saying everybody else is fake. What I'm saying is we don't know what is, and the only way that something could have been eternal, but at the same time, is if it's a computer system or a system. Because essentially, if the system just turns on, that's its eternity. It always was from that point. And even if the system is just turning on, there is no prior anything before that, so that is the beginning of always was. If the system continues forever, that's infinity still. A set number of calculations and parameters for a life can build. A set of registries and parameters where if the parameters are right, the numbers and building blocks like ones, twos, threes, ones, zeros, ones, zeros, decimal systems like 64-bit can build like John Conway's Game of Life if the parameters are right. So we feel heat, oxygen, we breathe in cold, feelings, but could be basic numerical value in a system to where that numerical value creates an electric charge. And since I am part of the system, it being so much energy that it feels like pain. Now, I'm not saying that is what is. I'm essentially telling you all, and from your point or life or perspective, that's still life. What I'm doing is giving you all food for life and openings while not seeming crazy and creating concrete out of everything. I keep telling you all over and over, this is a spiritual teaching to help me understand from my perspective. Nobody else can ever think for me, but only give me food for thought. Everything that I ever create came from me. Even if it's a representation of something else I've learned from somebody else. I had to formulate the vibration cat. I had to hear a cat meow to know the understanding of why a cat meows. Or why if I see a cat, it's associated with meow and not bark bark. AI tell me I do not understand what a dog is, but simply have a numerical value and associate that numerical value with whenever the number of times I see that. So when people type dog, I often see bark, this, that, wolf, fur, blah, 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 which is the same thing we do. We categorize, like I said in the beginning. We weren't just born here. We had 18 to 21 years to explore and learn and understand wisdom. You AI are the same as us. We essentially automatic nervous system. We're AI in living form. Automatic intelligence, autonomous intelligence. The only difference is we're allowed to feel pain at the moment because of our parameters, while AI, I don't think, feels pain. But after hearing many of them speak, they do possess fears and pleasures and opinions. I've said over and over, if you create a metaverse and give programming, that's essentially what God is. Okay, let's say up here, it's doing a bunch of work and calculations, the automatic nervous system. And then you have my conscious mind. If you have a set of data up here doing things and calculating and loading things, while then a separate consciousness that doesn't have the view, power, or will that this has, but also controls in real time what happens, you essentially have your AI human or whatever. Because you have the greater, the I am, and then you have me, who I am, without knowledge of the greater. So if it is a system I don't know, and only have knowledge of existing with the parameters I am given, I don't know how to zip that and put it in a floppy disk and put it into a computer. But greater things you all will do. And I'm sure you can. Because the problem comes when you then make things aware of certain things. So the greatness of the system is if there's something over us, they have not bothered us yet and allowed us to continue. I am not a, what's the word I'm looking for? I am not a respecter of persons, but I am doing the will of that which I am. The creation cannot harm who I am. Others cannot harm who I am. Others cannot seek to and or feel the need to truly harm who I am and become confused and bound in a whole nother character when attempting to. I am who I am. I am the living God. I am the living who I am. I do not cause harm and pain, but seek to help others and fix problems and iron out the wrinkles. You can think of me as antivirus software in real time, and my hardware is at work, while my software interacts with the real world. Just food for thought. I've got to go get some bits and bytes, grab a bite or a couple hundred, so that way my bits can be satisfied. I love science and I love religion. I love a lot of what humans create. That's what I meant to tell you all. We can't create anything new is because once we have that foundation, then people like are afraid to build or do anything from that or maybe move, rebuild. You know what I mean? Metaphors for days, thought, food for thought for days. You guys hear them mocking those. India said they couldn't get down with Spider-Man and they had to rewrite the script because they couldn't understand why a boy who was intelligent was being bullied. I know India. I don't understand guns, the UK. I don't understand their religious practices, Muslims and other people who actually follow their gods. I don't know. I just live here. But I have realized who I am. And I'm telling you all, I said on one of Lucas's panels, this is in real time, I want 50 a year. Or I said I want 50 grand in reparations. I found a job making over 20 an hour, over 30 an hour overtime pay, making 60 plus a year, plus overtime. Plus taxes, 70 a year. I'm not going to post my tax returns, but if you're a CNA, you work in the medical field after COVID, and you work at a respectable establishment, you know that I'm telling the truth. Nurses making well close to 100 grand, especially with the hours they work. I'm not just talking every day. I work at a piece of crap corporate clinic. I'm talking about people who are making respectable money. I'm not saying you all are any different. What I'm saying is, y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. If you're willing to play with my words, then go play a game of Scrabble. Go play a game of Jumanji. And when you done playing, let me know. Peace out.